What's up guys, this is Darkbblue, a gamer who loves Souls-like games, looter games, and every game that involves build making. Ritualist and dot-centric builds are definitely the core of the Awakened King DLC, but other builds may also benefit from the new gears. In this video, I will present an enhanced version of my old Explosion build, which has become more powerful and practical. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let's dive right into it. So let's first have a recap of my old explosion builds. That's in one of my previous videos. I have designed two categories of explosion builds. One is hybrid damage builds and the other is pure mod builds. But in later gaming experience, I personally prefer pure mod ones and, well, seldom use hybrid explosion build. And this video will also focus solely on mod explosion builds. Okay, as a player who mostly concentrates on mod builds, I'm very familiar with them, or especially one specific drawback of them. Mod power rotation is a key, so almost every mod build must use at least one of the two mods to regenerate mod power. However, explosion mods, as far as I know, all deal physical damage, so they cannot trigger malevolence and recharge mod power. Then how do mod explosion builds work? They rely on the explosion amulet to inflict burning and rely on this burning to trigger malevolence. And this specific approach is far from satisfying. Currently, I usually use Tremor and Son of Aether as the recharging mod. Tremor itself has rather low power requirement and can store 2 stacks, which makes it less likely to run out at the first place. However, it deals damage, so enemies won't have so much health left to be burned and be transformed into mod power. Aether, on the other hand, deals no damage to grounding enemies, so their health can be fully transformed into mod power. But the total damage of burning is insufficient. In most time, your targets will be left a very small amount of health. Then what can you do with them? Shoot them or use another mod? No solution is satisfying. Now, as we have already seen, the root of the problem is the insufficient total damage of burning. Pre-DLC, although you can use a timer ring to increase stall duration, it's a waste of a valuable ring slot. But now, DLC has granted us a new option. The archetype trait Affliction can increase stall duration without costing a ring slot. Admittedly, it's bugged at present, only increasing duration but not the total damage correspondingly, but I heard it'll get fixed in the future. With the new tools, I have mainly made 2 adjustments to my old explosion build. First, I maxed out Affliction. Here I directly changed my second archetype from Alchemist to Ritualist, but you can also stake to Alchemist and manually level up Affliction. Second, I replaced one survival ring with the burning damage bonus ring, which increases all damage to burning enemies. On one hand, this all damage bonus can bonus both dot damage and my upcoming explosion damage. On the other, as I can now spam Son of Aether and I have more trait points to spend on survival traits, I believe my survivability is greatly improved, so I dare use one less survival ring. As for other gears, they are just the same as before, just check my build summary as posted now. As usual, I will provide a usage and performance analysis for this build. Mod explosion builds are an extension of mod builds, so they share the same properties, which means they are good at handling large crowds of enemies within a rather close range. And if we compare mod explosion builds with other mod builds, you will find that they emphasize more on AoE. For example, both Enigma and Nebula are only single target mobs, and Firestorm does not cover a very large area even though it is an AoE mod. But explosion mods hit impressively large areas when you spend 10 points in amplification trait. Then let's compare our new Aether build with Tremor build. Tremor has higher DPS but only hits enemies within a rather thin plan. so it works better in a more straightforward environment. By contrast, Aether suits more complicated terrain very well. If you pair Aether with Meridian, you will find an extra advantage. You can actually hit enemies in some distance. Aether has very high projectile speed and accuracy, so it's easy to hit distant targets. And although Meridian has rather slow projectiles, Aether can inflict slow on enemies within its range and cause an initial stagger, so it becomes easier for Meridian to hit distant targets as well. All in all, I believe this refined mod explosion build is generic. You can use it in many dungeons. However, I have to admit it has two fatal drawbacks. First, it doesn't suit fire-resistant dungeons or dungeons that contain much water. Second, not very good for dungeons that mainly consist of flying enemies. This is because Aether will deal high damage to flying enemies, thus leaving little to no health to be transformed into mod power. Nevertheless, I am really satisfied with this build. It's not very refreshing or interesting for me, but it's useful and practical. If you like my story or want to draw me into depth of games, remember to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, see you around.